talking. I'm done posting online. I'm done protesting. I'm done writing to MPs. I'm done trying to convince people. I'm done doing the research and posting it out there. I'm done. There's only one option left for humanity now. Seriously. And it's a proper revolution. A revolution where all of us collectively decide that we have had a fucking enough of the bullshit systems, the bullshit structures, the bullshit capitalism, imperialism, authoritarianism, fascism, fucking racism. I am fucking done. And I don't give a fuck if I am a revolution of one. I will be a revolution of one, a revolution proper. Okay? Not a keyboard warrior, not a flag waver, not a sign waver. A proper revolution, a proper rising up of the people. And if I have to be a revolution of one, then I will do that. Okay? I cannot sit around anymore and watch this fucking shit show circus unfold anymore. Every day there's a new level of fucking horror, a new level of just utter fucking insanity. I am done. And the revolution starts now. And action, proper action, must be taken for the sake of humanity, for the sake of our future. And you know what? I'd rather fucking die trying. Honestly, at this rate, I don't want to exist in this world. I don't want to exist in these structures. I don't want to exist among these piece of shit leaders who are fucking terrorists. I do not want to live in a world where terrorists, pedophiles, and depraved, corrupt individuals are running the world. And you shouldn't want that either. And if you do, or if you're asleep still, whatever, you're useless to us. Just go away. But if you are ready to take proper fucking action and have a fucking proper revolution, drop me a DM and let's talk. But we'll be talking on Signal, because guess what? Israel are getting the data from Meta. They're getting everybody's data from messages. People are dying in Gaza as a result. So don't message on this platform. Don't message on WhatsApp, and don't message on Facebook. Okay? So let me know if you're interested, because I'm fucking done. And if you are too, let's talk.
Shoot that shit in my veins. What up, fam? Welcome to, or welcome back to Colonial Outcast, the podcast that will radicalize your pet fish if you put the fishbowl close enough to your speakers. Quick announcement: we do have our website up. It's very minimalistic right now, but we do have some documents uploaded on the site that can serve as resources under the resource repository tab. That includes a breakdown from Socialista Champagne, which was our last episode, on how we in the revolutionary space can reach liberals, if that's even possible. We're going to try and cover the latest deluge of news, along with a practical conversation about revolution outside of the mantra and hyperbole of revolution. Today, I've brought on two of my favorite content creators, and I do mean my favorite, as a personal cathartic revolutionary therapy for myself and hopefully for you too. So this is somewhat of a selfish episode, just for me to cope with the news going on. We got Lily, who is a socialist political content creator and activist living in Los Angeles. Hey, we're going to meet up soon. Who, despite the liberalism that saturates LA, somehow miraculously has been able to maintain a revolutionary voice against fascism and liberalism, and does a great job educating people on how to do so, and maintains strong arguments about the dangers of false opposition. You'll see her links in the description. Welcome, Lily. Welcome to the space. Big fan. Love your videos, especially in this past month. You've been on fire.
Thank you, Mark. You're so sweet.
Thanks for joining us. I also got Will, who, if you don't know, is Will Talks on Instagram, who is a true leftist content creator who talks about a lot of left-wing topics, has a focus on anti-imperialism, anti-fascism, and specifically undermining Zionist and right-wing propaganda. And let me tell you, he is the best debater I have seen in action against Hasbro shills. I have been a fan of Will for almost 2 years now, and have watched him fly circles around the most pervasive Zionist talking points. Absolute genius. And also a very effective bulwark against false opposition propaganda as well. You'll see his links in the description. Also, how you doing, Will? Welcome to the space, bro.
I'm doing real well. Thank you so much for having me. That's very kind. So yeah, it's good to be here.
Yeah. Yeah, good. Yeah. 2 years ago, like I told you in the green room, I watched your. I used to watch your TikTok lives in the shadows, from the shadows, debating Israelis, and I would screen record you destroying them, and then those screen recordings would get lost in all the other screen recordings because I have an ADHD mind, and it all winds up jumbled together. But I was just like, in the back in the audience, like, yeah, fucking get him, Will, get him, fuck him up, Will. Like I was tripping out. It was awesome. It was awesome to see you debate it. You are truly a great debater, highly educated, and the points that you bring up, you pull from history. You pull from you, and you bring logic into it. Like you just, the way you break it down for people who don't understand the concept of indigenous resistance against colonialism. There's nobody can really match up to you in that regard, at least from what I've seen. So there's a lot of news to cover from just these past 2 days alone. Israel officially breaks the illusion of any rules-based order by attacking Doha, Qatar, which is considered like the Switzerland of West Asia for peace talks and whatnot. Israeli fighter jets will, with coordination from the Shin Bet intelligence service, which is like Israel's FBI, dropped 10 bombs on a gated residential compound in Doha, Qatar, killing 6, including Hamas leader Khalil al-Hayya's son and a Qatari security officer, while it currently has issued an order for over 1 million Palestinians in Gaza to evacuate south and push a starving population further into an already constructed concentration camp, which will be guarded by the American mercenaries of UG Solutions, sourced from the deepest pits of hell in the United States. So meanwhile, in this Samud flotilla, which is en route to break the siege of starving Palestinians, currently docked in Tunis, has so far been the target of 2 terrorist attacks by drone. The first attack occurred Monday on the boat called the Family. The second was yesterday on my friend Wally Rashid's boat, the Alma. If y'all remember, we had Wally Rashid on over a year ago. Great guy. I consider him like a brother to me. And we're going to play a quick video about these attacks just to give the audience some context of what they're saying. So this is on the Family. This was, I believe, Monday. Most of y'all probably seen that video, and here is Wally Rashid talking about the second attack.
My boat, the Alma, with humanitarian aid heading to Gaza, was attacked by a drone. What we know is it was a quadcopter drone. It had 4 propellers and it released some sort of flamethrower or Molotov cocktail. The device that it released actually fell on board. This is it right here. This is the exact same type of thing that happened on yesterday's boat, the Family.
Yeah, so I'm going to go into and explain to the audience what that was. So just because there's so many questions circulating about it. So that was clearly a magnesium-based rocket. It's a 40, and I'm going to bring up a picture here of what they found in the aftermath. So this is the shell of what was shot. So that's what's called a 40 millimeter mini rocket. So it's often used in Ukraine. They shoot it. It's very lightweight and can be shot from one of these smaller drones. And as you can see, that's a carbon fiber or some type of, probably like a nylon mesh. It keeps the explosive from spreading too much. So as you can see, the rocket broke up right before impact. And based on the burn, that's magnesium. So as opposed to thermite, magnesium doesn't melt through metal. It creates a very bright flash. A lot of heat. You see it in flare guns. You see it in fireworks. That's why a lot of confusion about, was this a flare gun? Well, it may look like a flare gun because flare guns use magnesium as well. So this is meant to cause a fire. It doesn't do serious like structural damage, but it can cause serious burns. And they have been using it in Gaza to burn human beings, dropping them straight on human beings. So imagine if somebody was on the deck of that ship as that happened, they would have been burned up. And this is obviously an intimidation tactic. And if you want to see a quick demonstration of what magnesium looks like when it's burning, just so you guys know, this is magnesium being lit. You see them in shotgun shells like the Dragon's Breath, and it's very bright white light, So anyways, just to give everybody context. So there's a lot to talk about, guys. Let's start off with what y'all want to talk about first, though. Let's analyze this news. Will and Lily, y'all have been talking about how the attack. Y'all have been talking about the attack in Doha, as well as the attack on the flotillas. Let's let it rip. Like, anybody can start first. Don't
It's
talk
always
too
not that.
fast. I mean,
It's fine. Yeah, I can note, like, this isn't the first time a flotilla was attacked. There was a previous flotilla that was attacked. And it also isn't the first time Israel's attacked Tunisia. I believe 1985, they attacked Tunisia directly to work against Palestinian struggles as well. It was against a PLO leader. So, like, you framed this previously as, like, destroying any concept of, like, an international order. I don't think it's terribly surprising. I mean, Israel's demonstrated very clearly they have no interest in an international order, and they have acted with impunity for the past 70 years. So yeah, that's my immediate answer. It's not surprising, but it's certainly an escalation.
Yeah, absolutely. What you got, Lily?
Yeah, I agree. I think that a lot of the time I'm fascinated by people's responses because they seem very, just like Will said, surprised by these actions. And the Israeli government is very clear that they have no problem, obviously, consistently denying international law, denying the ICJ, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, they threatened to throw Greta, right, in like a terrorist level prison. So while I'm not surprised by these actions either, I'm fascinated and interested in what they hope to achieve through these intimidation factors, right? Because if anything, if someone is to be hurt or attacked or to, God forbid, die on one of these flotillas on the way there, they will be martyred. So functionally, they, will be pillared for the cause. And I wonder, obviously, Israel knows that, right? So what is the end goal in these intimidation factors is what I've been thinking about recently.
Yeah, Will, you want to answer that? I have a theory, but I'll let you go.
Yeah, I mean, I have a theory as well. I think I often talk about how, like, some people are speaking the language of power and some people are speaking the language of politics. And I think Israel is speaking the language of power here. They're saying we can do it and watch us do it, and we'll demonstrate that we can do it. And they want to piss people off. I mean, their goal is to destabilize the Middle East, and they just think they can get America to join in on that. And if America does, I think they win. I think if America joins in on Israel destabilizing the Middle East, they win, and we've seen this playbook happen for the past 20 years at least. So I think that's their goal. I think them martyring someone is actually beneficial. It will mobilize the necessary resistance for Israel to then leverage to justify further destabilization, and therefore live in like an eternal state of war against their kind of made up enemy of just the idealized, Muslim terrorist is what they build their whole entire identity in opposition to. So that's my immediate reaction to that, is they have a reason to, and their goal is to destabilize.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. With the addition of the way the conversation around Israel has been somewhat myopic in many ways, at least from my opinion, in the sense that we're categorizing Israel as if it's like a rogue state, which like its actions do appear that way. But the way I see Israel, and the best way I can explain how I viewed the whole thing for a long time now, is Israel is the mercenary for the ruling class. The elites in Wall Street need a bad guy. They need some rogue little brother to do their dirty work and just point to it and get everybody angry at just them, and while at the same time keeping their cultural hegemony and being like, I don't know, Israel's doing all this stuff. All the actions that Israel is doing directly benefit the people in power here in the United States. There's a 100% complete marriage with the ruling class here, which I term the Epstein class, just to keep it more, just to give it more of a visceral taste in the mouths of average working class Americans who don't understand these leftist concepts like the capitalist elite class. But Israel's job is to be the bad guy. It is to do the dirty work, and then so that there can be some type of obfuscation with the ruling class of what they're doing and why they're doing it. Understand that the genocide happening in Gaza can, like yourself, Will, you have pulled your hair out arguing against Zionist talking points, against like the whole concept of colonialism, and how the Palestinians are the indigenous population, and how this is not about Judaism, and how and Muslims are not these villains that they've been painted out to be. But when you think about it, all these debates and talking points and conversations, it blows away when you get down to the simple fact that BlackRock, State Street, and Vanguard want that real estate in Gaza. They want the real estate, and there's people living in there. So they have to create this whole storm of other issues to keep that degree of separation from that reality. And it's sent us down all these wild goose chases. But I believe that in doing so, we've ironed out a lot of the propaganda and lies that have been told over the past 70 years. So there is a good a positive about us going down all these rabbit holes. But anyways, I stand by the Israel is a mercenary of the ruling class theory. They're also a laboratory. I see them as a laboratory. I see them as a laboratory for what you can get away with and how you can oppress a population and adapt to resistance tactics from that population. And everything that we're seeing against Palestinians is going to be coming home to roost. So anyways, that's my quick, thing. Any things to tack on to that? Sorry. I'm wired up. I'm wired up this evening.
I think you illustrated it perfectly. I think that the specific language you're using is really wonderful too. The mercenary of the ruling class, just as you said, like everything that happens abroad is going to come back home eventually. I've been trying to figure out a way to like articulate that better so that more people understand what that means, right? Because as we all know, Americans do not vote on foreign policy. They don't care about foreign policy. They believe wholeheartedly that it does not affect them. And it's fascinating because we're in this leeway, right, where all this horrible stuff is happening. We're watching it live stream. We're watching these people lose their lives, their homes, their land. It's been happening for a very long time, but we can finally see it in front of us. And we still, as a population, don't understand that that is us, right? And I think I'm trying to find a way to not come across as like a hippy dippy, because none of this is like hippy dippy stuff, right? Like we're all the same, we're the same people. It's the truth. It's the truth that like the Palestinian people are the American people, are the people of the world. Our fictional borders mean nothing to the Epstein class, as you put it. So yeah, the drones that are striking them are about to be striking us, and we have a limited amount of time to act before we are taken out by them functionally as a resistance. That's how I feel.
Yeah. No, I feel the same. I've felt the exact same way, either sounding way too hippy dippy or way too like liberal feminist academic. Because like part of my back where it's like, well, actually this is like the epistemic like attack, like violence that's being committed against us, which it's like, it is true. Like there are epistemic systems, like there are systems of knowledge that were set up to like oppress and diminish certain people. And it is true, right? But I cannot say this in public because people will call me like a liberal studies major, right?
Exactly.
And it's like the anti-intellectual propaganda has been internalized, and it's so correct.
Mm-hmm.
But like there is language for, like Foucault made up the term like imperial boomerang, if my memory serves. Like imperial boomerang is the language I typically use for that. Is like when it's in the periphery of the empire, which Israel is the periphery of the empire. Then it will return to us. And it's not only a laboratory, but it's also where fascists come from. And I've recently been talking about this, where like, this is a project that's been going on for a very long time, where like the fascists in South Africa didn't go away. They actually either went to the periphery or back to here, right? Like Peter Thiel was from Namibia, or well, he's from Germany, moved to Namibia, did fascist stuff, and then went to America. And now these fascists are in power here. And so the connections between the periphery and the metropole of the empire, which are once again terms like I don't use in videos because people won't know what I mean. So just as a second, metropole is just the center of the empire. America is the center of the empire. The periphery is everything around it. And so like the relationship is not accidental and it's not subservient. It's like actually very mutually beneficial and symbiotic. And how to exactly describe that, both culturally, intellectually, and like militarily, is really complicated because it's our whole entire economy, it's our whole entire society, and so it's actually the focus of what we're studying. And guys, like people write books on this. I can't just make 60-second videos on it. It's really hard. But yeah, I agree. Like how to describe the relationship America has with Israel, it's not. Just as a final point, what quite annoys me when I see people saying is Israel controls America. I don't think that's true. I think there's a relationship between America and Israel.
They're married.
Quite frankly, Yeah, they're married. They're the same. It's like the relationship between America and North Carolina, right? Like it is just another polity as it relates to the American empire, right? And they are just people that have certain political aims and goals. And quite frankly, at certain points, it crosses into like anti-Semitic conspiracy theories that are unhelpful to the point, right? If we imagine there is a conspiracy of Jews controlling the American government, that's a dangerous and unhelpful thought. Whereas it's actually a lot more dangerous than that, right? Which is there is a wealthy elite class of very diverse people, right, that are universally acting in their own material interests. And that material interest leads to genocide, not only in Israel, but also mass slaughter in Iraq, Iran, Afghanistan, everywhere that America has touched. And so, yeah, that a lot of the projects we do here are trying to explain that relationship in a nuanced and productive way. It's really hard.
Yeah, and like you said, it's unhelpful, the anti-Semitic theories, because here's the thing. I think the ruling class has been has been genius about I guess enforcing the anti-Semitic theories by constantly saying we're we're here for our Jewish brothers. Israel is a Jewish nation, and they keep pushing this Jewish, and the effect that has is it builds a layer of human shields around the ruling class. So when shit hits the fan and people want to take their anger out, what are they going to go for? Like they did in Nazi Germany, they're going to go for the average Jews or just regular people to take the blame on because they don't want it hitting to the core of the capitalist elites. And that's why I tell people that Nazi Germany, who funded Hitler? It was banks. It was American banks. Some were Jewish, some were Christian. It didn't matter. They're the capitalist elites. And so so this whole, and it's interesting when you look at X, when you look at like places like X or Twitter, you notice that the anti-Semitic comments and stories and posts, they get no censorship. They have not gotten any censorship in this past 2 years. Anti-Zionist, anti-Israel, pro-Palestinian posts have been censored. Gee, I wonder why that is. It appears that they want the anti-Semitic conspiracy theories to like run amok on the internet, and they don't want the anti-Zionist, and they don't want the clear distinction being pushed. So you can just tell by what they're censoring of what they want to push. So, anyways, just a quick note there. I do want to say something about the relationship that Israel has with the United States, and I was thinking about using the fires here in California, Lily, as an example. So as y'all know, we had some fires back, I believe it was around, was it February, March?
I think it's even earlier than that. Yeah.
Earlier. Yeah. So the situation you had in California in the Palisades and in Pasadena and Altadena was that you had a lot of very high value homes and properties that were owned by people who were not rich. They inherited those houses from their ancestors. And big developers wanted that land. They wanted those homes, but these families were not willing to sell. So what do you do when you want land that people aren't willing to sell? You burn them out. And the way this works is, you have that corporate, boardroom, and then you have your fixer. The fixer is the person who does the dirty work for the corporation. He's the one that works outside of the bounds of normalcy and laws and legalisms, and he does the arson. It burns through. So now you have these families who have their property completely burned down. They may or may not have insurance. Then they'll pass a regulation that says, well, if you want to rebuild your home, you have to tack on this type. You have to meet these type of permitting requirements, which cost more money. They can't afford it. They sell their homes. The big developers get what they want. So the fixer is what Israel is. It's the fixer for the ruling class here in the United States. They want to get something done. They want to exploit the resources and people in West Asia, so they have Israel as their fixer. And the thing is, the fixer requires a whole nation to support that because it's so unsustainable. You have to create concepts like Jewish supremacy. You have to demonize Muslims. You have to create a militant society that's completely and utterly racist and keep everybody happy in this racist, fascist society. And that's how you have to do it. So, anyways, sorry. I'm wired up today. I'm going off of these tangents, but because I'm excited, man. I got like two of some of my favorite people like right in front of me, and I don't know where to even go.
Let your excitement flow. Don't apologize.
Yeah, this is crazy. So talking about imperial boomerang, Will, you did a great video talking about how the imperial boomerang works both ways. Let's talk about it.
Yeah. I think the concept of effective resistance against fascism is incredibly prescient right now. Not to name names, but I think it's generally clear that we need strong, organized resistance against the like incredible fascist and militant takeover of America, and we can learn from that. So, like for a little bit of context, like some of the examples I pulled from was like the Viet Cong were trained, at least in part, by the IRA. The IRA also sent convoys to the ANC in South Africa to train them because the ANC was working against Israeli trained apartheid South African militants, right? And then like the fascists in Serbia who ended up doing the Srebrenica massacre, right, actually sent some of their people down, some of the worst people down to South Africa to engage in apartheid. I don't know if any of y'all, not to rep another podcast, but Weird Little Guys does a really, really good investigative journalism point on this, right, where they connect a shit ton of white nationalist groups to apartheid South Africa and other international organizations. And so not only is fascism intersectional, but also we must be. So like the resistance techniques that are being developed in, as we see Indonesia right now, right, where they are working against a authoritarian government, or in Nepal, who is recently resisting authoritarian measures within their government. We can learn how to do it, and I think that's why some of the best, I follow a lot of anarchist and mutual aid, like anarchist community building, mutual aid techniques to prep and develop revolutionary tendencies in organizations. Can be understood from people that did it in the third world, or what we would consider the third world, and actually hearing them. So like a good peoples to look at is the it's blanking on me, the autonomous regions in Mexico who effectively took over a state in Mexico. The Zapatistas, right, who they recently disbanded due to a series of reasons, at least in part. But the Zapatistas' methods and democratic processes and democratic feedback and militancy works. So yeah, that's the thrust of it, is there's a lot to learn, and we need to open up our systems of knowledge to the people that actually know, not just the people that are captured by the elite institutions that we host in the West.
Absolutely. And Lily, speaking to tack on to what Will's saying, you made a video about how liberalism seeks to defeat those efforts, those resistance efforts, by using by pushing the illusion that we live in a world of decency, in which the only way to resist is getting out and voting. Just getting out and vote. That's your weapon. That's your only weapon, is to vote every 4 years or during your midterms or your primaries. So you want to go
just
into
hope
that,
and pray, right?
Yeah, just hope and pray.
That your politician will come forward for you.
You live in LA. I live close to LA. I know what it must be like for you in making these points to the liberalism that exists here. How have you been able to articulate those points amongst this environment that doesn't understand these concepts?
It's interesting. So I'm originally from Missouri. I'm originally from St. Louis. So I grew up in the Midwest. I happened to have grown up, my nuclear family was all communists, which I'm very lucky for, and my extended family was very conservative. So I had this very harsh juxtaposition, right? Where I understand the communist perspective, I understand the conservative perspective, but actually having grown up in a very red area, I wasn't exposed to a lot of liberalism or neoliberalism until I moved to LA at 18. And when you're not from here, you view LA as this blue hub, so to speak, where you believe that everyone is super progressive and has all these big left-wing ideals, and they don't. Right? There's so much of a wealth divide here. People are either very, very poor or very, very wealthy and actual nepotism babies. And I've encountered a lot of those people. And a lot of those people live both through their identities, right? So whether that is queerness or whether that is if they're a woman, et cetera, et cetera. And they live through these identity politics based lives. And they kind of huddle in these small groups, and the actual outside world of our political reality is not relevant to them. The Palestinian cause is not relevant to them. The wealth divide in America is not relevant to them. So it's very hard to interact with people here face to face. But what I will say, and what I really focus on, especially in my videos, is I'm just trying to push the content out there that might make someone change their mind. And I've been focusing a lot on Gavin Newsom recently, specifically,
Yeah, it sounds
because
good.
Gavin Newsom, right? Because Gavin Newsom serves as this like figurehead. People believe he's going to come save them because they're very frightened and they desperately need someone to cling to. And neoliberalism tells you that a politician will come save you from the big scary bad guy in the red tie. And as long as you vote for the guy in the blue tie, you don't have to worry about anything anymore. You don't have to engage at the local level. You don't have to engage, right, at the state level, even. So, more than anything, I've been focusing on the myth that the Democratic Party attempts to put onto people, which is that if you vote for them and depend on them, they will come through for you and they will help you. And I've been trying to, I guess, hit home the point like, what in your life has been improved by Democrats, right? Even
Right.
living in a blue state like I
Mhm.
do, like the benefits that I get compared to my family who still lives in a red state, few and far between.
Mhm.
Few and far between. And so I guess that's the point that I'm really trying to make is like there is no red, there is no blue. It does not matter where you live in the country, the negatives or positives of a red or a blue state. We are all the same. That's what I really care about is trying to unite people separate from the parties that they've been told separate us.
I that's why you and Will keep me sane, because I'll be on my For You page scrolling and I'll see all of this. I'll see all these videos about, yeah, Trump's a fascist and the shit he's doing is insane.
Mm,
And then I'll see, and that's why, Gavin Newsom is out there fighting him, or, he's Donald Trump hates the Democrats so much. No, he doesn't. He doesn't hate the Democrats. He loves the Democrats, and the Democrats love him. He's accomplishing the goals that Obama was trying to do back when he was president. Like he's the wide open receiver catching the football from Biden, from Obama, from Bush. And like I said, you and Will have kept me sane to know that people as smart as you are out there holding the line for this. And that's why I like to emphasize why it's important to have y'all in this rhetoric, in this space, operating amongst liberal spaces to speak their language, because I struggle with liberals. I don't know how to talk to them. Like, it's
mm.
not my forte. I can talk to MAGA all day long. I will own a room full of MAGA in 4.5 nanoseconds. Be like, I will have them talking like Malcolm X by the time I'm done with them. Like, give me 10 minutes. And but liberals, I don't know what to do with, because it's there's a sociopathy there that I don't know how to handle that or talk to them. And I was picking the brain of Socialista Champagne about what she does, and she's been giving me a lot of good pointers, like keep it based on historical facts. Talk about corporate ties. That's another good one. Just talk about the corporate ties. And y'all mentioned Gavin Newsom. So I want to spend a good, few minutes with the Gavin Newsom hate fest here for a second, if y'all. So Will, if you'll be my guest, and let's analyze Gavin Newsom for a second.
Well, I think Gavin Newsom's nothing new. I think he's a Democrat amongst Democrats that looks like Democrats. He's just particularly evil. He smiles when he's, brutalizing homeless people, and he's, he's a right-wing Democrat. He's basically Mitt Romney, guys. Like, he is the same guy as Mitt Romney. It's literally the same thing. We've just gone so far right so quickly that he vaguely appears to the left of America. So untrue. Yeah, he's just an evil guy. I think it's not a hard battle, even with liberals, to say this guy's evil. This guy's like a bad person that does bad things, right? They just have so many like ideologies in their brain to like justify shilling their whole life for a bad, evil person, because quite frankly, a lot of them are responding with trauma, right? Quite like this is how I frame it: is like politics is personal and personal is politics, where an interpersonal relationship is no different than a political relationship. And so a lot of these people are responding with trauma, and it makes sense. Like, if I was deeply traumatized by the rise of American fascism, which like I am privileged to not be at the forefront of the fight against, right? Like, I would also take any lifeline I can even conceive of, right, for any reason, and just sell my whole life out for it. I would do it. It makes sense, right? And I think that's what you need to hit at. And I think what needs to be hit at is, number one, harm that's caused by that lifeline, like actual physical harm, like not just him being evil, because Trump is also evil, but like the thing that's like, oh, supporting him actually causes harm to other people that are doing other things that actually can work against it. And number two, like breaking their understanding of electoralism, right? Like if the talk about foreign policy, you said before, we don't vote on foreign policy. Like we actually have no party that represents any difference in foreign policy. They have the same foreign policy. It's really famous. They have the exact same foreign policy. Both sides hired Henry Kissinger. I mean, like there's no disagreement here.
And domestic policy too, for that matter. It's just that's the one that they say domestic policy, because who is Trump's current borders are right now? Obama's borders are.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was Obama's borders are. And like, so even with the argument that they throw at us on domestic policy, all domestic policy differences are more or less cosmetic or aesthetic, in my opinion.
Yes.
You know, but that's what they always throw at you.
To be frank, I think that's a losing argument in my experience, right? Because I think there are, I don't think anyone, I agree on like a grand scale that they are causing similar levels of harm across the board. At the very least, if you take into account the extent to which liberalism and the so-called left allows for fascism to come in later. But I think people in their material lived lives, and then also what they see on media, they can see and feel the difference between Biden in their life and Trump in their life. Like white people feel scared right now under Trump in a way that is more justified than under Biden, because they are in fact at greater danger. Like that is true. White people in America are at a greater danger of state violence today than they were under Biden. Does that mean it's justified to change your politics on that basis? No. But when talking to liberals, I think the reason it's difficult is because it's difficult. It's something that takes our life energy, and the only reason I do it, or I'm able to do it, is because the views and clout I get are, give me back life energy, guys. Give me follows, give me big number, and I'll have life energy and time to talk to liberals. Like that's the trade, right? Because it's not a human thing that I enjoy. Like I take very long naps after it. Right. And so I think that's the thing, is like we're taking sacrifices emotionally and in terms of intellectual energy to appeal to their insecurities and fears and dangers that they should have the maturity to contextualize and diminish, but they don't. And that's all of debate, isn't it?
Well, and so have you found success? Like, where have you, both of y'all, found success in reaching out to liberals? Because I'm actually just trying to like trick y'all into giving me some advice here.
Will is making a really great point about the emotions that they're feeling, right? Afraid, scared, hopeless, don't see a future, because as we're talking, right? Like, because liberalism depends on electoralism as this lifeline, just like he's saying, like Joe Biden didn't make white people scared. And when white people are scared, when our people, me and Will's people, are scared, that's when things really make a difference, right? Because you know, our feelings should be centered, etc. So because neoliberalism depends on electoralism to save you, you have to kind of address the fact that while you may be scared right now, you're probably not going to be saved this time around. And that's a large part of what I've been trying to get to, right? So we're still in this area where we've seen just enough really scary stuff that we still feel like there's hope, right? Like the fascists are going to let us vote our way out of this. And this is my perspective. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't believe that. We're 9 months in. I don't think that we're getting saved by the midterms or saved by Gavin Newsom. Not because these politicians are bad, they are, but because fascists don't let you vote out. And so what I have found, and actually this is like a wonderful moment that I had yesterday, I got this lovely comment from this person that commented some very mean things about a Gavin Newsom video that I made, and they basically were disagreeing with me and saying that I am capitulating to the right by hating on Gavin Newsom, which is a comment that I get a lot of the time, that I'm helping the right win by saying that Gavin Newsom is horrible, which, whatever. But this person came back, right, and was like, you were right. I was wrong. I'm really sorry. I've realized the Democratic Party, is the problem. How do I help, right? How do I make a difference? And there are a lot of people that feel that way. This hopelessness, I think our responsibility as people that are making this like propaganda against the propaganda, like Will does, like I do, our responsibility is to give an avenue through which they can turn their hopelessness and their fear into anger and then into action. Because when you are so afraid, you cannot do anything and you are paralyzed. And I was like that for a very long time. I was just in this hole where I felt like there was nothing that I could possibly do. And it's just not true. And so I was able to reach out to that person and I was like, get involved with this organization, pick one thing that really makes a difference to you. Like if it's ICE, if it's women's rights, if it's anything else, pick that thing, focus on that thing, you will feel better. Genuinely, and you will be able to feel fulfilled and you will be able to get through this and you will make a difference. I think that is what's most important, is giving that avenue to those people.
Yeah,
great.
I cannot retweet that enough. That is what everyone who spends long enough speaking to liberals and like as you said, tearing your hair out over them, it realizes. And like it's our version of touch grass, but it's go sit in front of a cop car, right? Like
Literally.
that is like it works. It works. I promise you it works. And the thing is, and it's a good sieve as well. Like you get a good sieve between liberals that are just angry because white people are terrified, and then there are liberals that really do like care about people and like care about things and like are really disgusted by the actions of ICE, right? Like they're genuinely scared by this and they want to do something, but they don't have the connection between values and action hasn't been made. And so that's just a logical connection that can be made. That's education right there, right? Values change is hard. Values change is very hard, right?
Yeah.
And that takes a long time undermining and changing and growth on their part. Education is possible, right? And very quickly possible. And so, the advice Lily said is just 100% true. Everything is better in person when you go talk to people and go see danger happen and then how to prevent it and what can be done. And it just makes you feel better. And if that's what gets you out and it's not empathy, it's selfish, fine. Like when you're handing out food, it doesn't matter if you're handing out food because you're selfish or because you're empathetic. It matters that you're handing out food, right? So that's the I can't agree enough. That's what you center is actually preventing harm and building effective community, because we're the only people that are going to guard ourselves through it. No one else will. Ain't nobody saving us. It ain't gonna happen.
Yeah, nobody's gonna save us except us. Those are great pointers. I am going to use those. I will. Thanks for that advice. If y'all need any advice on how to reach, conservatives, I got you. I'm your boy, so, so anyways, that's great. And I want to follow that up with what y'all just left up on organizing. Will, you did a great video about organizing. There's a lot of, this all leaves the question that liberals will ask you when you talk against electoral politics is, okay, well, if we're not voting for the Democrats and Democrats aren't the answer, then what do you suggest? What do we do? And our answer is what? Organize. What answer do we give them? Organize. And what does that mean? It's like you said in your video, organize is a easy word to say, but what are the specifics of that? Are we talking about political organizing for a petition, or actually organizing for material change?
Yeah, I'll answer that directly just because it was I think about it on like a lot of levels, and I think a lot of work to be done. And so like there's an extraordinary limit to what I can do online, right? Because I can't go physically hand out food or physically block an ICE car online, right? The amount of like physical harm I can prevent online is things that are illegal, right? So like, for example, one thing that people are doing that I cannot legally recommend is like releasing the names of ICE agents in certain states, right? Which I would consider that it's the line between propaganda, right? Which has its place and is good, and direct action. And so when we're talking about organizing in person, what we're thinking about is direct action. Mutual aid and direct action are the labels I use, which is mutual aid is building communities so that when Social Security stops sending you money, you live. When our healthcare industry breaks down, you continue to live, because that living is a prerequisite to fighting, right? And so you need to be able to live. So you need to find people that if you can't get food, they have food and you can go get them. They know how to grow stuff. So like there's like survival, which is like really essential to every no matter what brand of leftist you are, but like anarchists have this kind of central to them, which is building autonomous communities that can build effective survival gear. So that's a valuable thing. And if that's your shit, do that. The other thing is, in those communities, right, where you have sufficient security, reliance, inner reliance, protection amongst your community, you can do actions, right? And those actions can look like direct actions against ICE, right? One that I can actually recommend is like going and intervening and making sure people know their rights, right? And then other people go further beyond the law, like sitting down in front of ICE or doing other further actions against other things. And we can all fill in the gaps. We've all seen the headlines, right? So those type of things can be organized, but they only work if you live in protective communities that can take care of each other. And the bar and the line I've developed with people that I talk to a lot is, we'll know we're ready for great collective action when we could get a prison break done. If you as a community can't get a prison break done, they could just throw you all in prison. We have enough prison spaces for everyone in America now, right? If they can throw you all in prison, you lose. So if you live in a community that can get a prison break done, you win, right? And we are not there, right? And so that's what we're talking about at organizing. We know what we want, right? That's a clear goal. I know how to get food to my neighbors. I know how to get water to my neighbors, right? I know that I can't right now because I haven't talked to them. I'm not friends with them. So the first step is always go talk to people around you. Figure out what they need and fill it, and build systems between yourselves that aren't reliant on everyone else to fill it. And then as a final point, the work we do online, at least a lot from my view, is influenced by breaking down ideas and ideologies that make that difficult, right? And building commonalities and synergies amongst communities that otherwise don't get it. So I recently made a video that was very successful, actually, talking about the interrelation between Israeli nationalism and Hindu nationalism in India, right?
I saw that.
Yeah. And like, these are two communities, right? Palestinians and Hindus or Muslim Indians that would otherwise not really seem to be connected, but are actually being oppressed by literally the exact same techniques and literally the exact same people. There's literally conferences between them, right? Like the material connection between them is huge. And if people know that, right, your community members that are, Hindu Indians, and you would previously presume that they're part of this like crazy far right-wing fanatic cult in India that's taking over the government, maybe we understand that most of them aren't that way, right? And so you break down those ideologies and you understand the systems of oppression you're working against, and it better informs how you build local communities. And so, yeah, the phrase "all of leftists run on," 100% of leftism phrases, by the way, 100% of leftism is just like a few mottos, and one of the mottos is think global, act local. It's 100% true. You have to understand the global systems of oppression to act locally effectively.
Boom, mic drop.
Absolutely. Yeah. 100%. I love that video too. Lily, what
great.
You got?
Yeah, it's completely true. I have thought long and hard about, you mentioned reaching MAGA versus meeting liberals. And this is a thought I've had for the past couple of weeks, which is that a lot of MAGA are religious, right? And religious communities are actual communities, especially within the United States, when it comes to communities that take care of each other, whether we like it or not as religious or non-religious people. Those churches get together and they feed people. Those churches get together and they get mutual aid together. They keep people housed, they keep people warm, they keep people fed. And I made a point about the need for collectivism in American society. Is my audio okay still, by the way? I don't have my headphones.
Yeah,
that was
good.
mine. Might be.
Okay, cool. No, you're all good. We are highly individualistic, and we've abandoned most people in this country. And as a result, we do not understand, not only, like Will said, the need for collectivism, right? But also the function of collectivism. Because just like Will said, if you can't house yourself, feed yourself, clothe yourself, you can't do revolution. And you can't do revolution. And most Americans are housing insecure. Most Americans are in debt. Most Americans are not politically aware. Not only not politically aware, they don't care. Most people are apolitical, right? And so the sooner that we can make clear not only the necessity of being in community with your neighbors, whatever that may mean, because we all have different levels, right? Just like Will said, there are going to be people that are going to be sitting in front of the ICE cars and doing other actions.
And there are people that are feeding people at the food bank. And all of those people, we need all of those people. All right, you don't have to do the crazy, insane stuff to make a difference. Every single working part matters in great, large societal change. So we desperately need to move forward with collectivism to tell people, like, you know, just do stuff small. You can start really, really, really small. You know, go volunteer an hour a week. The average American does not volunteer. They don't know their neighbors' names. They don't know the people in their community. If you're doing even an hour of mutual aid work, whatever that looks like a week, you're already doing more than the average person, which is crazy. But that's the truth, right?
It is crazy. Yeah, it's crazy how they have been how our system has been so effective at isolating us and getting us in our own bubbles, and it's so carefully meticulated that way. Like, they meticulously craft their propaganda, their psyops. The consumerism it's catered to that, and it's has such a lasting effect even throughout all the generations since this all started. And you mentioned something about churches. I got a great story to tell you. That's in my opinion, such a great anecdote of what you're talking about. Churches do offer community to people, with the caveat they're going to pump you up with xenophobia, nationalism, and Zionism. And I have a real life story to tell you that I stuck to, and I'm going down this road with this guy that I met. I met him in the park. Nice guy, you know, middle-aged white dude. I could tell he's had a rough history. Psychologically, I can tell he's struggling with a lot, dealt with addiction, and he was with his kids, and I was with my kid, and he was nice enough to start a conversation with me. And he was talking about politics and about how this country's going to shit. And right off the cuff, he goes, and that's why we need to support Israel. And I'm like, I wonder where he got that. And I knew that it was this church that's like right down the street, right? It's a very evangelical church. And I said, actually, brother, and I used my biblical language that I can use because I grew up with that. And I said, yeah, Israel's like Satan, man. They're killing kids right now. I just kept it very simple. Like, you have no idea what they're actually doing. They're very demonic. I used those churchy words. And he's like, now, he didn't like immediately push back or give me a liberal answer like, yeah, but no, he didn't do that. He was like, wait, really? Like, yeah, bro. And I lost contact with him for like a whole year. I lost his number. I found his number finally on my phone. I called him up just to see how he was doing. And right off the cuff, he goes, dude, I went like doing some research about what you were saying. And you're right. Israel is demonic, what they're doing to the Palestinians. And I'm just like, bro, I am so proud of you. A 5-minute conversation, and you took it on yourself to go do the research. And I'm like, would you be down to go on camera to talk about that little journey of yours? And he was down. I spent a MAGA weekend with this guy at a demolition derby, and it was great. I love demolition derbies. It brings out the redneck in me. And I spent a good half a day with some MAGA dudes and was telling them about what's really going on. I made such headway with that. I had them sit down in my house. We did an interview. I haven't edited it all yet. But what's interesting I learned about this guy is that the church, what it did was it knew that this man was broken. It knew that he was struggling. So they offered him community. They gave him that emotional network to lean on, with the caveat that he would see himself as this dirty little sinner that needs the church because he smokes weed and he has a weed addiction. And they pumped him up with a bunch of Zionist propaganda. And I realized something. I realized that, you know whose fault that is? That's our fault. That's not, don't blame the church for that. The church is going to do what the church is going to do. They're designed for that. It's our fault for not being in touch with our neighbors to be that network and fallback for them, so that some predator, which is the church, comes and catches them, and they become that family for them. And that's how our system has gotten so fucked, especially in the far right. They do have community, but that community has all these caveats, and it's predatory. So, and it's our fault for not creating a community for them because we're so divided, or we're so individualistic, or we have this barrier between us. We don't feel safe around them. There has to be some bravery in the left to start talking to people like that. So anyways, just a side note. Let's talk about, I want to get into community building. Okay. So I sent y'all a paper that I put together over this past year. to answer the question of, okay, if electoral politics is not the answer, if the Democrats and Republicans are a dead end and they're working for the same people, then what do we do? So I wrote that paper to answer that question, and I sent it to y'all, and I sent it to Socialista Champagne, who gave her critique of it and her approval of it and all that. I want to talk about that because I joined the Black Panthers. I've joined the Panther Party, which is it's an extension of the Black Panther Party. And I offered this plan to them and asked them, hey, do y'all approve this? Do y'all think this is something that we should push? Because I think if there's anybody that should push this, it should be the Black Panther Party. They liked it, but we need to workshop it more. And I just wanted to, and by the way, to the audience, I will be posting this document on the website, and I want to crowdsource the development of this project. I want to see some beta tests being done. So Will and Lily, what did you all think about the plan? What's your critiques? What's your approvals? What's your impression?
I liked it. I like a lot of bits of it. I think it hits a lot of the really important points. I think people should read it. It says a lot of really helpful, just very practical things immediately on how to engage and how to like just survive and how to build communities that can survive and mutually self-defend. And I think one of the things that a lot of people shy away from, and I shy away from because people like to censor it. But like in mutual aid, you also will need self-defense. Like the feds like to kill you. That's not a conspiracy. They've done it. Right, like Fred Hampton was murdered, and we never need to forget that. Right, like COINTELPRO murdered people, and they continue to murder socialists, especially outside of America. Right, in like Central America, and it was the justification for destabilizing most of the Middle East all the time. So they love killing socialists. You need mutual self-defense, and that's how the Black Panther Party started. And it is what like actually made the feds shit themselves the most. So I think that's really, really significant. The critique is more critique per se that I would ever levy would be that there is a proclivity on the left to believe that if we plan exactly right, everything out, everything will be okay and it'll just happen. Right.
Yeah.
And obviously you're not suggesting that, but that is how when we read a document like this, that's how it makes us feel, which is great because it feels really good. But that's absolutely not what happens. Knowing everything is entirely useless across the board if you don't talk to your neighbors, if you're not friends with your neighbors. And I'm the biggest hypocrite, by the way. Like, people need to hear this from me because I'm such a hypocrite. I'm so antisocial. I've moved around like 3 times within the past 2 years. I don't know anyone where I live because like I don't have a home. So like I'm speaking on things that I absolutely don't practice, right? But you should do it. If you live in a place, you should go do it because that will always be more revolutionary. And then building out like the epistemic framework and the background framework and the background knowledge and plan, like this plan sets out, is really, really helpful. But the first steps are always getting people on board, seeing what they do, and not being dogmatic about what you believe, much more than filling needs where they are, right? That's what Mao advocated. And I'd say his revolution was pretty successful. We can judge what he did with it, but it was certainly a revolution that happened. And so if you want to change things, there are models to do it. And it always starts with filling people's needs where they are at. And that's hard to understand. So yeah, that would be my starting point with it.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Yeah. Piggybacking off of that, I think that is the most important message. I was so excited to get the document from you. I loved reading it. I read it a couple months ago, weeks ago. So my brain's a little bit foggy on it. From what I remember, I loved it. I loved the plan. And exactly what Will said is meeting people where they're at. When we think about the success of the Black Panther Party, right, the most successful, one could very easily argue, socialist movement in the United States, the Black Panthers were successful because they met their community and they offered not only education, but they offered childcare and food. And one of the more interesting parts, acupuncture, right? They saw their communities struggling with drug addiction and they said, here's something that we can do for you, and we want it to work for you, we want it to help for you. Here's this alternative medicine that we've discovered. And they trained people, right? They went out of their way to find the systems that worked for them and for the people that they cared about in their community, and they expanded and they grew. And just like Will said, they threatened the Epstein class, They threatened the people that were in power because it worked, right? And yes, we can have a plan that seems perfect, but unless we prove to people that we're not big, scary commies and socias and anarchists and whatever else you wanna call yourself or associate yourself with, none of it will matter. Because the first step is combating the Red Scare propaganda by saying, like, alternative systems exist. Let me show you what that looks like. You can't pay your bills? All right, let's crowdfund for your bills. You can't get food? Come to the food bank. We'll figure it out for you. That's how you convince people, because no one really cares what you say. They care about how you make them feel. And if they leave the conversation they're having with you feeling better than worse, all of your theory, it's all great and it's wonderful, but it doesn't matter. Because if you make them feel worse rather than better, then it doesn't make a difference. You have to meet them emotionally more than anything. That's all that humanity is, that being a human is the emotions of the people and meeting their emotions where they are at.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I said in the last episode that until you can put all the common sense and logic and theory and idealisms into revolution, but until it becomes a primal subconscious desire of the population, it will not happen. You have to make them want it as if they want any other need in their life, physical, emotional need. They have to actually want it. It has to be a primal instinct. It cannot be a logical or idealistic or theoretical thing. It can't be an intellectual thing either. It has to be primal. And I agree about the self-defense. Like, that's the thing about this plan. It ain't gonna work if there's no plan to counter what they're going to throw at it to stop it. So it has to be crowdsourced. It cannot be one group that's doing this and watching it emanate out, because that group will be targeted and cut at the stems, like Fred Hampton did. And I always think back at how when Fred Hampton was assassinated, and it's like Monday quarterbacking. I'm like, damn, why was he in that apartment? Like, why was he in that apartment? Why wasn't it a decoy apartment? Why wasn't there like a decoy in there? Why wasn't it a trap and ambush? And you do all this, Monday quarterbacking of it, but it's like it's good to do that because we can look at what was done wrong or the mistakes that were made. And so anyways, I agree with you that the Black Panther Party was the most effective at, getting close to revolution in this country. Now, my solution to spreading this and to making it catch on and become a viral thing is exactly what you're talking about. Is I think we've been doing protest all wrong. Not that I'm throwing shade at what the protest has accomplished, but I'm saying that one of the most effective ways you can protest is giving something to somebody instead of asking them something from them. Like, and my idea of spreading this was when you're at the grocery store, you're at a cafe, wherever you're at, you drop some money for the person behind you, like a pay it forward, and then you drop a QR code. That QR code leads to a website that has information and a statement that immediately grabs them emotionally, saying, I know you're suffering, and I know you're tired of everything you're going through. I know you're tired of being exploited. Here's what you can do about it. Here's the plan. Go talk to your neighbors and let's see if we can all get this done together, no matter who they are. And I feel like that will be more effective, So that being said, a question for y'all, like, if we want to reinvigorate the public excitement over the Black Panther Party, what should we do? How should we approach that? Because right now, these revolutionary bubbles are all spread out and they're all doing their work, but there's no cohesion that's crystallized fully yet. How do we crystallize that cohesion amongst these revolutionary groups, like the pro-Palestinian group, the anti-ICE group, the Black Panthers, the rednecks, the anti-fascist rednecks? How do we do that? How do we crystallize all this together?
I think for me, what I have found in all the organizing spaces that I've been a part of is that you end up losing people when you don't make it fun. When it's no longer enjoyable, no one wants to be a part of it. And I'm going to mention these organizations, but it's nothing about them, right? I've been involved with the DSA. DSA, the Democratic Socialist Alliance, it's a good place to start. I think personally. It's different all over the country. Each faction is different. There are like more liberal DSAs or more leftist DSAs. Getting organized is what matters more than anything to me personally. Getting organized with some kind of social organization. So when I was in the DSA, we would do a lot of theory reading. We would do a lot of reading and talking and reading and talking, and that's it. And reading and talking is not action, just like you were saying with groceries, right? I've since joined the PSL, the Party for Socialist Liberation here in Los Angeles. The PSL has community events, right? They have parades and they have cookouts and they have barbecues, and you can go and bring your kids and they'll provide childcare, and we come and learn stuff together. And the Black Panther Party, just like you said, was successful, and it was successful because it was about the community. It was not, they had the education time. You would come and they would teach people theory and teach people math from Mao's Red Book, and they would teach people Marx, etc. But it was fun. It was enjoyable. Unfortunately, most people do not live very fun lives. We're strapped down by the weight of capitalism. We don't have time to have fun.
Yeah.
And if you want people to get excited, just like you said, to feel passionate about a movement, you have to make it something worthwhile, that they want to be involved with weekly, monthly, daily, yearly. And so figuring out how to make it fun, how to make it enjoyable, I think is the first step for any organization that's attempting to liberate people.
I agree.
Yeah.
Will,
Yeah.
Will, what do you got?
I agree strongly. This is my like leftist organizing spaces. My context mainly is like some Palestine organizing in university and a few other things. But regardless, there's this somber vibe that some people feel, especially in Palestine organizing, where they feel like they have to be sad because it's a serious, sad topic. And there are certainly somber moments, but that'll burn people out quicker than anything. And then you're useless to everyone. I mean, you can't do anything if you're really depressed all the time, which most Americans are. We have a loneliness epidemic, not just for men. I mean, it's a human loneliness epidemic because it is profitable when we are lonely. Like this is not that's the issue with the male loneliness epidemic, is that it's everyone is lonely, everyone is sad in America generally, because it's America. Look what's happening. Like, oh my god. Obviously we're sad, and also because everyone's just kind of an asshole. But it's fine because there are lovely people that you can get around and have fun with and be sociable. And if we're asking people to do things, it has to fulfill that need. And there are lots of ways we can fulfill that need. But I also I think that's been covered. Make it fun, make it enjoyable, hit on things, reclaim like engaging in culture or identities is really difficult, but they also can be really productive. Like some people that I know have been organizing in the South and like rediscovering, reinventing and re-identifying what it means to be Southern, or what the Southern identity means, or how it can be used, or how it's helpful, has been really invigorating for me to be like, oh, like I am from the South, like this is something I grew up with, this is my social context, and I actually have things in common with the people from there, not just in like a super racist way, but in like a cool cultural way that is like actually based in something. In like I grew up there, even if it's quite flimsy, it's emotional, right? And so like your identity shouldn't be, your ideology shouldn't be based on it, but like your experience can be. And so like building on those type of things to make it fun, make it engaging, make it important is important. But so that's kind of the positive thing I'd say. The negative thing I would say is you can label anything whatever you'd like. You can call it a party, you can call it an organization. Ultimately, what is a bunch of people getting together and doing shit, right? And so that involves three things: people getting together and doing shit, right? And like there are people that will get together and not do shit. There are people that do shit without getting together, and there are people that'll get together, do shit, and people that'll get together and do shit, right? And those are who you want. Right. And that's what it'll be. And either you'll be in an organization that has them or you won't. And so we should have cohesion amongst them. Right. And so what that means, at least in what I'm talking about, is just the best thing you can do is if you see people that are getting together and doing shit here, connect them with those over here and over here and over here and here. It doesn't really matter what they're doing. As like if some people are doing Ice Watch and some people are doing Food Not Bombs and some people are doing Cop Watch, right? Connect them and synergies grow. Right. And so what that ultimately is you don't need like a spokes council, right? You don't need these massive organizations that leftists always talk about. What you need is people talking. And that can be a Signal group chat, that can be a call with like the cool influential people of the state every month, right? And you have everyone bring a friend, right? Like just something that's social, because Americans, in my experience, like I lived in England for the past 3 years. we don't have the institutions of socialization that other countries do. They've been actively destroyed, or they were racist, right? So like in the South, we had cotillions, right, which were institutions of socializations, but were super racist, right? And that's true in England. They just haven't quite gotten over it. Or they were actively destroyed. So like nightlife was destroyed because integration effectively, and then all the white people said, no, we don't want to party with black people because we're super racist. And that's a simplified thing, but the point is socialization's been destroyed. So that's the first step, is bringing together people that you see that are doing cool stuff and connect them. Go talk to them and connect them with other people that are doing cool stuff and be like, oh, you're doing this and this. And even better if they have a common cultural marker. So like a comrade I know is doing like Down South News, which is just covering all of the mutual aid and community organizing stuff going on in the South. Wow. They're all Southern. They're all doing mutual aid and community organizing stuff. And that, like, people have been connected through even just that. So that you just connect people that are already doing the work, and that'll excite people to do more work and get more connected. And that's fun. I love meeting new people selfishly, right? I need more people to talk to, right? Like it's bad. America bad. So yeah, those are the pointers, is don't get lost in structure and idea, and like, no one cares. Actually, no one cares. It matters to get some things done. If you want to sit in front of an ice fan, you need structure and roles and stuff, right? But to connect people and to have like a national strategy, whatever, have a call where ideas are shared and shit gets done. And that's really, really helpful.
Yeah, no, that's really good. You brought up an interesting point about the South. I think that has been such a blind spot for the left, not reaching out to the South. There is so much cross-pollination that can exist, especially when you consider that when people think of like the South, of course, they think of racism, which is fair. However, they don't think about the survivalism of the South and what that can benefit the left. And the problem with the people in the South is that they have been obviously, propagandized so heavily by the ruling class to hate the other, right? To hate them, us versus them. So I believe that the trick in fixing that, one of the tricks, besides the deeply ingrained racism and the stereotypes and the trauma that they've been, filled up with over the past few decades, is if we can just swap out the them part, us versus them, swap that out with the ruling class, I think that is so pivotal to bringing in such a dynamic aspect to revolution. Because the thing I was talking with Greg about is that conservatives, when they go on like a crusade, they're very passionate about it, right? As opposed to, say, liberals. And I'm thinking like, well, if we can just swap out that passion and swap the xenophobia with a bitterness towards the actual forces that are oppressing them, truly oppressing them, then we will have won. Because that's such a powerful, artillery of manpower against the ruling class, and then they lose control, and then things can evolve from there. And I believe that we can also use nostalgia, like we've heard the term the good old days, right? When we think of the term the good old days, we think of racism, the days of Jim Crow. Okay, true, but what about the good old days of Blair Mountain Revolt? Why can't we invoke those good old days, where the first American war against corporate America that was armed, where black people, Irish immigrants, Slavic immigrants, Russian immigrants, you name it, got together and kicked ass? I believe that all of that we can utilize. We can utilize some elements of nostalgia without invoking racist nostalgia. And I believe that it is incumbent upon us to reclaim these concepts that the far right has claimed. We need to take them back, because there are some good things about the past that we shouldn't throw out. We shouldn't throw out the baby with the bathwater. There was community back then where you had your local, blacksmith who could make your child a toy or make you, something that you needed. And there was a community mindset. Problem is, it had a lot of racism in it. So we can just surgically cut that out and bring back the nostalgia of a community mindset that the South definitely knows about. I think it'll be successful. That's my take on it. So I appreciate y'all reviewing that paper. I wanted to bring the best minds on that. You know, I give it to Socialista Champagne as well to have her review it. And I want to bring that thing to life. I want to make it 3-dimensional. You know, it's just a stack of paper right now. Like it's just words, like you said, Will. I want to make this thing duplicate itself in many different variations and forms that can be fun and can be doable. So that's been like my mad scientist nightmare I've been dealing with the past, year. So yeah. Any other thoughts y'all have about organizing in your local neighborhood, where you're at, where people are at? Because people are watching their phones in horror, and they feel so helpless. And the biggest psyop is the shock and awe that they've been inundated with, the hopelessness. Like every headline is something crazy, like Donald Trump gives Palantir access to all your medical records. And then people are like, well, what's the point in struggling? What's the point in fighting if they're so powerful? How do we deal with that?
Can I just make some notes on what you said previously about the South? I just have one sentence, which is, if you hate the South, you just hate black people. Like if you hate the South, you just hate black people. That is the negative view of the South is not just because white people in the South are racist. That's true. White people in the North are also really fucking racist. They did a bunch of segregation shit as well. They're all super fucking racist. All white people are racist. I'm racist. Like everyone's racist. Some of us are just working on it. Some of us took the vaccine. Some of us didn't. And, it doesn't stop you from getting it. It just makes it a little better. But it's also where the most black and brown people are in America. And if you hate that, you are racist. And if you don't want to go work with them, then you are not working with the people that are fundamentally struggling through this new, this ethno-fascism in America. Who are you helping if not the South? Who are you freeing if not the people in the South? What, the white hippies in New York? No, I don't care, right? This is not the point. So it's difficult. You need to have empathy. You need to recognize the energy that it takes to deal with people that have been indoctrinated. That's the work, right? And if you're not willing to do the work, especially if you're not willing to do the work just for black and brown people, you're just racist. And so there's that point. As to answer your specific question, I hate, it just bears repeating that you should go. The first thing you can do is know people that you live around. If you've lived in somewhere for more than a year and you don't know the person living next to you or the person in your neighborhood, or you've gone, as much as we hate them, homeowners associations are an evil rot of earth thing that exists, and they should all be burned to the ground, right? But go meet the people there and see if they're actually evil or if they're just in a system that's evil. And that's the first thing. And then go check, look up mutual aid organizations in my city or in other cities, and what can I do and who do I know that can do it? Go to your church, and if there are a bunch of rich white women in churches that start making anti-ICE propaganda, it'll work. We need the white women on our side. We need the white women that would otherwise be at brunch. They need to fund us. Okay, they have the money, they have the privilege, they have the tears. I'm done being oppressed by their tears. I want those on my side. And there's once again some vitriol of that in the leftist community of we don't need to use privilege on our side. We don't need to. I mean, if everyone who is oppressed went and got a gun, maybe we could do this without it, but that's not going to happen, right? And so it's really helpful to have white woman money behind us, and then we can go do cool stuff. And so yeah, that
are you talking about turning Karens into anti-Karens? That's a cool
Karens
concept.
Into comrades, actually, I think is the proper phrase. The Karen to Comrade program is needed and necessary.
I love that Karen to Comrade program. Hell yeah,
Karen to Comrade. Yeah, just don't change the K. Too many places change C's into K's, and it's never good. It never turns. This is a well-known thing in the punk scene. Stop doing it, guys. So that you can do. And then if you just want to, you don't even know anything about this, I listen to 3 podcasts and I'll plug them just because I think they're great. So sorry for plugging other podcasts, but
go for it, man. We're
history podcast, Behind the Bastards, it's great. Other history podcast, cool people that did cool stuff, and Weird Little Guys. Behind the Bastards, famous evil people, cool people that did cool stuff, famous or not famous, awesome people that did cool stuff. They had one on the Black Panthers. And Weird Little Guys is just Molly Conger talking about whatever she researched. And she's a bad bitch that does anti-fascist research, starting from Charlottesville, talking about everything that white people did that was evil. And that made me feel better because it made me realize how not new this shit is, how extreme this shit is, but how not new it is. And it gives you context so that you're not just like absolutely crippled with depression and anxiety, which like it's really easy to be in America. You like your mental health is 100% a consequence of the system you live in. And it's not your fault, but you can do things to help it that are genuinely helpful. And a lot of that looks like going out and building community, and it's fucking hard and it's hard work, and you shouldn't have to do this to live, but they fucked us, guys. So you gotta. So that's my pitch.
It's a great pitch. I love it. Hell yeah.
I love that pitch.
What you got, Lily?
As a white woman, I completely agree. The white women can do a lot more, and we don't do very much as a group. And I said this to Mark when we were talking about topics to discuss. Will, you're amazing. You read my mind. Because my end goal is to get the white women to see that they're not only a large part of the problem, they can help people, right? We're not going to be liberated by white women, and white women are not the people whose voices need to be centered by any measure, right?
We've done that before.
Precisely. We don't need to be the ones that are saving anybody. We're not going to save anybody. However, as we talked about earlier, about everybody playing their part, if you're the kind of white woman, right, that wants to help, we have money. We're living in the greatest gender wealth transfer in history, right? Women are going to hold more wealth than more wealth than they ever have before. And women, especially now, are leaning more left, while Gen Z young men are leaning more right. And so if we can get women specifically, which is what I'm attempting to do, if we can get women, especially white women, to see, like, if you just put your money into this thing, not only will you feel better, you will do better, and people will like you more. And this plays back into Will's point about whether it's selfish or it's selfless. If you end up helping your community, great. I don't really care where the like emotional desire comes from, because we all do selfish things every day. It makes us feel better when we give the homeless guy a couple bucks on the street, and it helps him too. And in an ideal world, we aren't selfish human beings. And in an ideal world, we don't do good deeds based on selfish desires. And I try not to. But if we can show people, like, oh, people will like you more, and you'll be in a better spot emotionally, and you won't want to die all the time because of how scary and horrifying the world around you is, the world will eventually get marginally better, and you won't have to feel that way all the time. Right? You can show them that doesn't have to be the end goal, is feeling horrible all day, every single day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can I add into my point, just because I think context here is necessary, because me and Lily, it seems we are talking to white liberals. This is who the pitch is to. If you are a leftist, ignore us. Like, go do cool. You know how to do cool stuff. You're fine. Ignore us, right? And we are giving you an infinite amount of grace you don't deserve. Right, like, white liberals, you've like fucked us really hard. Like, you're part of the problem, right? Like, you're doing evil
Will
stuff.
said
like,
it, not me. Okay, guys. See, I've been brutal on liberals the whole year, and
yeah, I just want to clarify, because it is important that, like, us, especially as white people, you don't owe your apologies to us, and we can't forgive you. Like, we're not Palestinians. Like, this is not ours to give, right? What we're saying is, like, right now, that's between you and God and whoever else you hurt. I don't, like, this is not me, right? I need you to, like, do good things right now, and this is how you do them, right? And it also beneficial to you, like, your soul will be cleansed or whatever, but, like, this is how you do them right now. And obviously that is actually listening to Black and brown and oppressed people in America, and listening to what they need actually right now, and using the privilege and benefits that you have. And we're telling you how to use those privilege and benefits and resources, right? And it will make you better, great, right? But it also is, like, a moral obligation that you have. And I just wanted to clarify that, because, like, it's incredibly important, not only for, like, the people we would otherwise be speaking over to hear that, but also white, like, and other, like, privileged people in America to know, like, this is not just a gift. It's not just a charity, right? It's actually your moral obligation. Like, and you're an asshole because you're not doing these things, and you're an asshole because you're not talking about these things. And like, it is personal, and it is political, and it is moral. And here's the guidelines, and now you know. So go be better. So
yeah, and you can't blame ignorance, right? You can't say that there aren't people out here teaching you and telling you. And I also why it's so important for white leftists especially to make very clear what they view as a moral obligation, just like you said, to be a decent person. Because the bare minimum is funding the lives of the people that you have trampled on with your existence. Sorry. If you're paying every day to have people die all around the world, the very least you can do is repost on Instagram and donate to mutual aid funds. That is the bare minimum if you want to be a morally good person. If you don't care, okay, by all means, like, do whatever you want to do. That's fine. But so often you have people that are like, oh, I just don't know what to do, and I don't know how to help. Okay, here's your guide. There's your guide. Do with that what you will. And I hope you come to the right side. And if you never do, damn. But, you know, what did I expect, I guess? I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's all fair. This is great because, see, I've been ripping on liberals for the past year, and I get comments. It's like, why are you always ripping on liberals? Well, you know what? Okay, fine. I am going to dedicate a week to trying to reach out to them, working on myself, because it's my Achilles heel. Liberals are something that I need to improve on, and learning how to reach out to it, because I've been lazy and I've been just working on, you know, putting effort into my specialty, which is reaching out to your right-wing conservatives, your working class conservatives, your rednecks, your bros. This is me doing my thing. So for the record, this episode has been me attempting to reach out to them in a cordial way. So I think all that's fair. Absolutely. I really appreciate y'all coming on and just, you know, shooting the shit with me. I hope this was very casual for y'all. You know, I'm sure you're not used to casual conversations online and podcasts. I love it too. And to keep it even more casual, there is some leaked footage of Greg on the flotilla that I think the audience would love to see. He's gonna hate me for this. I'm gonna piss him off so much. All right, wait for the. Okay, enough of that.
Nice.
I literally did that just to piss him off.
In his non-binary form. It's amazing.
Dude, I was working for hours on the face swap app, just trying to pull, like, you know, Pirates of the Caribbean footage, trying to swap his face. It didn't come out great, but it came out just enough to piss him off, and I hope he watches
it was a valiant effort.
Yeah, I miss him though. And I've been having a lot of anxiety dealing with, you know, like, the activist in me is proud of him, but as a brother, it's stressing me the fuck out. So got to deal with that stress some way.
Scary. Very scary.
Yeah. Well, thank you all. I'm going to end this recording, fam. I hope you learned something from some of my favorite people that I'm so honored to finally meet face to face. Take our advice and come up with your own advice. Just get out there and get to know your neighbor. And I will be posting this document to crowdsource y'all's thoughts and make it an evolving live thing where we're all just kind of, you know, picking parts out of it and seeing what we can do with it. So as always, support the Smooth Flotilla. Keep your prayers up for their safety. Free Palestine. And let's tear down this fascist fucking system. Let's get this revolution on. I'm done with this shit. I really am done with all the rhetoric. I'm done with the petitions. I'm done with begging evil people to listen to us. So boom,
Here.
ending it.